I've wanted a Green Lantern statue for a long time, but for me, there's some quintessential things that need to happen. Number one is it has to have an amazing construct. Number two, it has to be at least a quarter scale or larger. Number three, I know this is dumb, but the construct has to be coming from the ring. That's really important to me. So you have to have a connecting piece from the ring to the actual construct. Number four, it has to be badass. And as we're going through this checklist, you're like, Mr. X, you found it. But then number five comes, has to be Hal Jordan.
Give it to you. Wait for you to get it on your own.
Hey, welcome to the Extreme Channel. My name is Mr. X. So for a long time, I've wanted a perfect Green Lantern statue, and I've tried to buy some. You know, I had this one from Tweeterhead, which was almost perfect. It was Hal Jordan, checked every bucket except it was 1/6 scale. So then I went with this other one here, just kind of out of, I got a great deal on it. This is quarter scale, not the best. And then recently, we've seen some third scale ones from Prime One Studio, LBS, and of course there's a lot of customs out there. But none of them check all five of those boxes for me. Either the construct's not cool, it's not coming from the ring, it's too small, it's not Hal Jordan. Well, that's the case with this one from XM Studios. This is Kyle Rayner, who wasn't my favorite Green Lantern, although I really liked him as the White Lantern. I so wish XM Studios would have made him as the White Lantern just like this. I would have absolutely loved it, and I would have still bought it. But the reason I bought this is part of that Black Friday special that you've seen going on the last few weeks on my channel. There were some amazing, specifically XM Studios statues that were great Black Friday deals through Hexapis. This is another one of them. It's the last of them for now, although they continually run great deals. So he's here, and I absolutely love it. Now, what's interesting about this is obviously Green Lantern, DC storyline, part of the Justice League. Kyle Rayner has a little bit different storyline than Hal Jordan. Wasn't my favorite, but I plan to pair him with the only two other quarter scale DCs I still have. I have a bunch of DC statues, but they're all third scale larger. The other two I'm referring to are also lanterns. First, this custom Sinestro. I've had this at least 5 years probably, just waiting for the perfect Green Lantern. And while I was waiting for the perfect Green Lantern, they released this Red Lantern quarter scale Atrocitus, one of my favorite statues, and also one of my favorite DC storylines. I'm not huge into DC when reading the actual comics, but I really like the Atrocitus storyline. He's just badass. So I'm going to display him with those two. If you want to see what it looks like, check out my social media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. The link for those is in the description below. Anyway, if I throw away the fact that this is Kyle Rayner, not Hal Jordan, this is a great representation of Green Lantern. I really like it. Mine has one little problem with it. We're going to cover everything in the review today, and I'm still seeing a few styrofoam pieces on there, so I apologize. But to me, the most important part of a Green Lantern statue that is a deal breaker where it will or won't even be considered is the concept. You definitely want to have an awesome construct. And they did it here. This is absolutely amazing. It's part of the concept, and it just blows me away. So he is creating a construct, and he's clearly in a battle due to the dynamic pose he's in, but the construct he created was almost a transformer. That's what it looks like to me. It's like a transformer or some giant robot. And that robot, apparently on the back, he has missiles in his back, and they are firing. So you see the smoke, the green construct, and the billows. And as you move up him, you see him in this dynamic pose I was talking about, and then you see the construct coming from the ring. I love that it connects down below, so it tells the whole story. He's in a very fierce mode, like I said. He's using his will. You got to imagine there's a lot of emotion when you do that. And these giant missiles are taking off to take out whoever is in front of him. Maybe he's battling Atrocitus. It'd be cool to put those against each other, because that Atrocitus statue you saw had a bull. So I love the concept on this. This is exactly what I want for a Green Lantern. It's something creative, something cool. 5 out of 5 for sure. With the design, like I said, there's one small issue with mine, which may solve itself over time. We'll go over. One of the things we'll talk about a little bit later when we do some close-up video of paint and sculpt is I like the construct to be almost a translucent resin, but you have some design issues if you do that because it can't carry the weight. I'm okay with this one. And again, we'll talk more about that later, but I think the best thing is let's measure it. So while Kyle is really small because he's hunched over, the statue's still a good size. It's probably about 13 inches wide, maybe a little bit more with all the things jutting out. Same thing with the 12-inch depth. And then the tallest point is the missile right at 24 and a quarter maybe. And I like that because you can display them in almost any display cabinet. Let me show you how the assembly worked because it's pretty smart here. One very large box, and what surprised me, it was only one layer, but it was your traditional XM Studios. They didn't have an art print, but they did have instructions, classic straps and foam, and then this is the one huge layer, not multiple layers. So one thing they did is the base is extremely heavy, and I didn't understand why while I was unboxing it until I figured out that the smoke billows key into the base with huge pegs, and then the missiles key into them, so it helps offset the weight. Kyle's pretty light. The problem I'm dealing with is here, let me show you the picture right here. Technically, Kyle is not resting his right foot on the statue. This could be due to temperature fluctuations. In theory, he could just be starting to kneel down or starting to get up, but I'm pretty sure his foot is supposed to be on the top of the head of the robot. Not a huge deal, and unfortunately, I will be displaying him low. And I say unfortunately because when you have a statue addiction and you display stuff low, it just doesn't look as good. Now, an interesting part about this, XM Studios is really known that when they make a statue, a lot of times they have 20 different display options. So I mean like 5 different portraits, different hand switch outs. There's none on this. What you see is what you get. And that's great because I think this is perfect. I wouldn't want anything different. I guess you don't have to have this little construct up here. Here's a close-up picture of that. You can actually take it out. There's a little bit of a hole where the ring is. I think that's excess overkill, but maybe he's creating another construct. So design, I give a 4 out of 5. Due to that levitating foot, due to the fact that there are no other display options, other portraits. Again, I so wish this was a White Lantern. It would have been awesome if they did another version where he was the White Lantern. But I guess it saves me money because now I've found my almost perfect Green Lantern. I could custom paint this, although that'd be a little tough with white, especially a white construct. Maybe that's why they didn't do it, because that'd be hard to pull off and paint. Speaking of paint, God, that's a good segue. Let's talk about the paint and sculpt. So as I said, normally for a construct, I like translucent resin. To me, it's what a construct would be like in real life. And I bet you I've said construct more times in the last 20 minutes than I've said in my entire life. But this still works. Check it out. So as I said, my one criticism, and it's a personal preference, is having that translucent resin. But instead they use polystone, and I think it's more in resin, more for design, for stability. And I think it still does a good job. So first they have a variation of green throughout the construct. You can definitely tell which part is the robot, which is the smoke, and then which is the missile. And I like how it kind of fades together. So the different types of green really help give it some variation and make it not as boring, especially some of them are almost metallic, like they're more concrete with the construct. And they did a really good job. And the color looks great on him too. You know, I'm glad while a lot of people like the traditional Hal Jordan green costume, this gives it a lot more variation, that black and white. And this is painted really well. I don't really see any bleed over or other issues. Considering it's 80% green, the paint is done really nice. And I think the sculpt is just as good, if not better. So with all that mixed color together, it's still very distinguished what's what. You can tell which are parts of the robot. You can actually see his arm right out there and the gears and circuitry. They have the Lantern logos everywhere, which I love. You'll see a few more of those right there on the missile. Obviously have him on his outfit. And I think that's really cool as well. And then just the way they made the smoke billowing and kind of these wisps in the air of the creation of the robot below. And then the flow of the construct from his ring on down, and then how cool this missile looks. K-51. Really good sculpt, and it doesn't stop there. On Kyle himself, I also like it. A lot of great distinguishment in his musculature, as well as the outfit. I like the texturized parts, and then kind of the segmented parts of his uniform. It always amazes me how fit these superheroes are. I mean, look at that. He has like a 12-pack down there. And I like that he's hunched over so you actually see that. And great looking portrait. Again, very good paint on the mouth. And I like how the hair is like wisping in different directions because there's so much going on. This piece is really impressive with the paint and sculpt on top of that really killer cool on that killer concept. I almost said killer cool concept. Absolutely, they did a knockout job with the paint and sculpt. So the variations of green we talked about really help it stand out and help you think it is kind of more this fluidity, if you will. I don't know if that's the right word, but that's what I'm using. So I give the paint a solid 4 out of 5. I really like it. You know, a lot of people don't like his uniform, but that's what differentiates him from Hal, two normal white guys. Maybe that's why they didn't do it white, because, they might be facing cancel culture. By the way, there's this, in Davenport, Iowa, there's this ice cream place called Whitey's, which I'm surprised they haven't changed their name, but they shouldn't because their ice cream is amazing. Make sure you go there. I know Davenport's a huge, spot. Sculpt. I think the sculpt is also a 4 out of 5. I really like it. They did a fantastic job on the base, on the character. One of the things I didn't talk about, sometimes the base is overwhelming. It takes away from the character. But I think with the Green Lantern and a construct, there it is again, you almost have to have an amazing base. Now let's talk about the value. So as with all the other Black Friday sales I'm doing, we're not going to rank the value. When this originally came out, they made 300 of them, or $299. The retail was 1,400 Singapore dollars, plus usually a few hundred for shipping. So you're about $1,300 all in if you're living in the States. I got it on that Black Friday sale, I believe 600 shipped. So about less than half price, which is why I pulled the trigger and I decided, you know what, I can make the exception with Hal Jordan not being in this statue. Plus, in full transparency, that perfect statue I've been waiting for, it's been 10 years and I haven't seen it yet. And even at, $1,300 all in for a quarter scale, that is a little pricey, but there is a lot going on here. So it's not a horribly bad value. I feel like if this really was Hal Jordan, they would have sold out and they wouldn't have had leftovers. Maybe they couldn't get the license for it. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? I'm married, so I'm wrong all the time. But I think it's $600 shipped. Absolutely screaming deal. I really like this, which brings us to our last category. Does this have the X factor? Is this a 5 out of 5 statue? I think it is. I love the construct. I love how dynamic it is. I actually, of the Black Friday ones, I saved this for last because I thought it would be the best, and I think the other ones are very good. I kind of opened them in the order of what I thought would be saving the best for last. So it was this one, and then before it was Cable and Hope, which was the second best, and then before that was the Submariner, and then of course Luke. So I definitely think I got the ranking absolutely right. Super stoked to have him. 5 out of 5 for me. Does not disappoint, especially at that price point. And can't wait to see what he looks like. So again, check that out in my social media. But in the meantime, depending on when this launches, we're right on the cusp of 40,000 subs, which means we're giving away a bunch of statues. Not this one. Please comment below. That's how you get entered. And if we've already hit 40,000 and you're tuning in now, then we're going for 50. So might take another 5 years, but won't be worth it. People just say that. They trick you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Yes, we're still giving away $1,000 statues at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. You have to make sure you're subbed to the channel, you like the video, and then leave a comment. We're going to pick a random comment on a random video and give away those statues. In the meantime, check out some of these other videos and my social media. Talk to you soon. Take care.